What is going on, guys? We are live on YouTube. We are live on TikTok. We got a game in just over an hour, going to be on our television screens, and a fantastic game in that the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Philadelphia. The Buccaneers 6.5-point favorites. I see a start sit question, Caden, in the chat already in YouTube, asking about Chris Godwin, Stephon Diggs, Hollywood Brown, Tyler Lockett, Kadarius Toney. I think that you need to start every wide receiver for the Buccaneers once again this week. You need to start Chris Godwin tonight. You need to start Antonio Brown. You need to start Mike Evans. You absolutely need to be starting Devonte Smith. And I'm really hoping this is the breakout Devonte Smith game. Devonte Smith has had some fantastic peripheral numbers so far this season, and he's in a matchup tonight that he really should be able to exploit. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers secondary has allowed the most passing yards in the NFL. They are allowing the most fantasy points per game to wide receivers this season. Their secondary really is atrocious, but it's compounded by the fact that their offense is so good, and their defense against the run is also so good. So they put up points against opposing teams. They dominate the run, and so teams just have to throw the ball. And they are not good at stopping the pass. Almost every single team that has played against the Buccaneers this season has thrown the most that they have the entire season in that game. And so we could see a really big game out of Jalen Hertz tonight, guys. I am very excited to watch Jalen Hertz against this defense. And I think you got to be excited for Devonta Smith too. So to lead it off really quickly, we are live on TikTok. We are live on YouTube. I would probably play the first two in this situation, then probably Tyler Lockett would be the third, Caden, to answer your start sit question. But the guys that I think are must start tonight, well, let's run through these really quickly. Jalen Hertz, of course, he's a top 10 quarterback option. I'll be showing my top 10 quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends on the YouTube Live. As always, come to the YouTube Live if you're watching live on TikTok. Link is in the TikTok bio. But I think you need to be starting Jalen Hertz and Tom Brady tonight. I think they're both top 8 options in fantasy football this week. Jalen Hertz is a top 5 option. Top 6 option. Let me pull up my top 10 quarterbacks on the YouTube Live. But on the other positions, outside of Jalen Hurts, outside of Tom Brady, you got to start all the top receivers in this game. Devonta Smith needs to get into your starting lineup. Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, get all of them into your starting lineup. Leonard Fournette or Aaron Jones, Jonathan Taylor or Dalvin. Yeah, you're not going to start Leonard Fournette there. Honestly, this is not shaping up that great for a big Leonard Fournette game, but you probably should be playing Leonard Fournette in most situations too. He really has seen a lot of increased workload over just the last few weeks. He's been playing like a workhorse running back. That's Leonard Fournette that we're talking about. And he really is kind of the only running back you could consider playing in this game from a fantasy football perspective. The Philadelphia Eagles refuse to give Miles Sanders a workhorse level role. And he really isn't even anywhere close to workhorse. He's seeing a little over 10 carries a game. He's averaging 0.1 more fantasy points per game than Kenny Gainwell. They've actually basically split the work. Kenny Gainwell is getting the more valuable targets than Miles Sanders, and Gainwell looks good. Miles Sanders is better than the public understands right now. This has been the story of Miles Sanders' career. He is an efficient running back, but volume is king in fantasy football. The Eagles have allowed the 10th most fantasy points per game to running backs this season, so Leonard Fournette well within play. Honestly, I'd probably add him to this list of must starts. You probably should start Leonard Fournette tonight. You look at Leonard Fournette's last few games, and you have to feel pretty encouraged about putting him into your starting lineup in fantasy football. Let me pull up some of the peripheral stats for Leonard Fournette really quickly. But he is significantly farther ahead than Ronald Jones in this backfield in terms of touches, snaps, and honestly just in terms of talent. Leonard Fournette has the 9th most red zone touches in the NFL this season, and he's the 6th most receiving yards. He's ran the 4th most routes. Leonard Fournette has played a bigger role as a receiver than I anticipated this season, but then he's also seeing 11 carries a game. So we can expect, 11 to 15 carries in this game for Leonard Fournette, but we should also expect anywhere between 3 to 6 targets for him. And so that puts him in the running back 2 map this week. In a week, with the first week with buys, happy first week of buys, by the way. You're probably going to want to be starting Leonard Fournette in most situations too. I'll be trying to get to some of the start sit questions on this live stream, of course, and especially I'll be prioritizing the ones that have to do with the Thursday night game. But we are live on TikTok and YouTube right now, guys. If you're watching live on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're watching live on TikTok, hit the follow button and hit the like button too. They add a like button to TikTok as well. I'm going to get to as many start-sit questions in the chat as I can. I'm seeing a Zach Ertz question in the chat. A Noah Fant versus Zach Ertz question. I think this one's super close this week. Let me pull up my top 10 tight ends on the YouTube Live. Again, on the YouTube Live, you can see my top 10 quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs, tight ends. Come to the YouTube Live, guys. Come to the YouTube Live, smash the like button. I actually do have a free prop pick for us later tonight as well. But the top 10 tight ends really quickly. Zach Ertz did not make my top 10 tight ends this week. I think that I would probably play him over Hunter Henry, though. Honestly, looking at this list again, I think I would put him at number 10. He should do well. No Dallas Goddard tonight. This should be a high-scoring game. He should have a pretty good chance at a touchdown, but it's still kind of hard for me to get excited about Zach Ertz. What's the ceiling for Zach Ertz? I think the ceiling is probably 75 yards and a touchdown, which is not a bad ceiling among tight ends. But the floor is still low for Zach Ertz. Let's not kid ourselves, as it is for almost every tight end I'm sure you're deciding between. I would still play Noah Fant over Zach Ertz, though. He had 6 targets. He only caught 1 pass last week. He scored under 2. He had 1 catch for 7 yards last week. And again, Dallas Goddard played in that game, so we should see increased role. But I think this could be a big Devonte Smith night. And I bet one of Quez Watkins or Jalen Reagor has a big night as well. The Buccaneers have struggled against receivers. They've been the worst defense in the NFL against receivers. Their secondary has been injured from the very first night of the season. And then the way that they play on offense also pushes teams to throw more. And then on the defensive side of the ball, even more, their front 7 is good. And they're still been really effective against the run. So I think you got to like all the Eagles receivers more tonight. I think Devonte Smith, you have to lock Devonte Smith in as a wide receiver 1 this week. I honestly think he has top 10 upside this week. This should be a big Devonte Smith game. This is going to be pretty telling. I think Devonte Smith has a chance, at least a chance, to get in the conversation with Jamar Chase as the top rookie wide receiver. Man, Jamar Chase just dominating NFL defenses to start this season. All this talk in the preseason about how he couldn't catch an NFL football. I mean, what a joke. The preseason, like we said, all preseason. Stop overreacting to the preseason. It's the preseason. It doesn't predict anything. And that's why Jamar Chase, unsurprisingly, dominating. He was the number 1 wide receiver in my prospect model, but number 2 was Devonte Smith. And Devonte Smith, I think, is in a great spot this week. I would play Devonte Smith over Jamar Chase in fantasy football in week 6. All right. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's just see some of the performances they've given up to wide receivers this season. And then I will get to some of the start-sit questions, I promise. Again, you can see my top 10 tight ends, running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks on the YouTube Live. Link is in the TikTok bio if you're watching live on TikTok. Thank you all for tuning in. We got a great game coming up. I'm actually taking the Philadelphia Eagles plus 6.5 in this game, by the way. I'm at 58% against the spread this season. Eagles plus 6.5, I think, is too many points at home against the Buccaneers team that their defense really isn't very intimidating. Their defense is not good. I mean, the Eagles could score 40 points in this game, and nobody would blink an eye. The Buccaneers are definitely better, and I think the Buccaneers will win, but I'm taking the 6.5. In these primetime games, man, they've all been close. There's not been a blowout primetime game, really. So I'm going with the Eagles plus 6.5. We did hit on another lock last week with the Bills plus 3. That lock hit, so that was good to see. But we actually were a little below our average accuracy last week, so we got to get back on track. But we're still 58% against the spread. Not bad at all. Go Birds. Good lock. Yeah, that was a good lock. All right. Let's get to some of the start-sit questions really quickly. In the chat, YouTube and TikTok, I'm going to try to focus on the questions that have players on Thursday night because we got a Sunday stream where I can answer those other questions. Also, guys, you got to check out the WalterPicks app in the iOS App Store. Link is below in the YouTube stream. Look up WalterPicks on the iOS App Store because it can answer all your start-sit questions. It can help you answer all of your start-sit questions. It gives you accurate projections, boom and bust probabilities for every single player for every single week. So try it out. It can help you out. And it's completely free when you first download it. All right. Yo, Sam, how's it going? Also, pick 2, CeeDee Lamb, Adam Thielen, or Tony. Yardsman, it's going pretty well, man. It's going pretty well. And I'm excited for this game tonight. I am. And I'm pumped to see all of you in this live stream. Thanks for spending some time with me tonight. Honestly, like I say all the time, I believe time is the most valuable thing in the world. So the fact that you're spending some time on the stream, I do appreciate. All right, CeeDee Lamb, Adam Thielen, Kadarius Toney. I mean, you have to play CeeDee Lamb. I know the Patriots defense can be scary for fantasy football because they are good usually at taking away the top player of another team. And that could be CeeDee Lamb this week against the Patriots, but he's still too good to bench. And I would also still be playing Adam Thielen over Kadarius Toney. Kadarius Toney looked great, man. And I said before last week, he looks like a young Percy Harvin. He looks like a young Percy Harvin to me. I've seen a lot of Stephon Diggs comparisons for Kadarius Toney, but he's better with the ball in his hands than Stephon Diggs. I don't think he's nearly the route runner Stephon Diggs is either. But he looks like Percy. He's a young Percy Harvin, which is exciting. I mean, man, if you ever got the chance to watch Percy Harvin, or if you didn't, go watch some Percy Harvin highlights and tell me that does not look like what Kadarius Toney has looked like so far this season. But I still don't think he's a must start this week over guys like CeeDee Lamb and Adam Thielen. Thoughts on Antonio Brown? Yeah, again, really quickly, you got to start Antonio Brown tonight. Antonio Brown is in form, guys. Antonio Brown could be. I posted about this, I think one of my first posts this week on TikTok. Antonio Brown could be. He could be a top 15 wide receiver in the NFL right now. He could be a top 15 wide receiver in the NFL right now. That's how good Antonio Brown looked. What he did against Xavier Howard, what I believe is a top 5 corner in the NFL last week, is just extremely impressive. Extremely impressive. But on top of that, without Gronk, we've seen targets go Antonio Brown's way. He's actually not playing that many snaps. He's played under 60% of the snaps in each of his last 3 games. This is Antonio Brown. But in his last 2 games, he's 11 targets, 8 targets. Over 60 yards in both those games. Over 100 air yards in both those games. I think Antonio Brown's floor is low, though. I mean, we've seen it already twice this season. He scored less than 3 fantasy points against the Falcons. So let's not act like Antonio Brown is a lock. Antonio Brown's never going to be a lock. 3 points against the Falcons. That's his floor. Antonio Brown's floor is 3 fantasy points. But the ceiling is still too high. You got to still be playing Antonio Brown with so much confidence. Devonte Smith, Claypool, or Cooks at flex. Yeah, it's got to be Devonte Smith, man. It's Andrew. This one's got to be Devonte Smith. Do not be benching Devonte Smith tonight. I'd honestly feel better about Devonte Smith than I do Antonio Brown and Chris Godwin. I don't know about Mike Evans. I think Mike Evans is probably a little bit safer than Devonte Smith. But of all 4 of those guys that are playing tonight, I would probably rank them as Mike Evans number 1, Devonte Smith number 2. And those 2 guys are really close for me. And honestly, I think Devonte Smith probably is the highest ceiling of all of them. The tough thing with the Buccaneers wide receivers is which one is it going to be? It's probably going to be at least 2 of them every single week. And that's what we've seen so far. At least 2 of them. Sometimes all 3 can finish as top 15 wide receivers on the week. Mike Evans has actually been the most consistent one, though. Devonte Smith or DeAndre Swift. Yeah, this is an interesting one. I think I would still go Devonte Smith, though. I still think, especially in a PPR league, Devonte Smith has just too high of a ceiling. I know DeAndre Swift has been really good, too. We're live on TikTok, guys. We're live on YouTube, answering all your questions for this Thursday night game. Thank you so much for tuning in on the YouTube Live. If you come to the YouTube Live, link is in the TikTok bio. You can see my top 10 quarterbacks, top 10 wide receivers, top 10 running backs, top 10 tight ends for the upcoming week. And that can answer a lot of the start-sit questions I'm sure that you're seeing. I'm seeing an A.J. Brown or Hollywood Brown question in the chat. All right, we're going to address this A.J. Brown thing really quickly because there's going to be a lot of A.J. Brown questions this week. I've already seen them a lot in the comments. And you got to start A.J. Brown this week, guys. You just have to start A.J. Brown. I know it's not easy. A.J. Brown has not had a good start to this NFL season. He's gone under 15 fantasy points in every single game that he's played, but you have to start A.J. Brown. Do not bench A.J. Brown. In a game that could be a potential shootout against the Buffalo Bills on Monday night, you do not want to watch A.J. Brown's first big game while he sits on your fantasy football bench. So in almost every situation, you should probably be starting A.J. Brown. He's not a top 10 wide receiver for me this week, but he's still in the top 15. A.J. Brown's ceiling is number 1 overall wide receiver every given week. And he looked fully healthy last week. And the Titans only threw the ball 22 times. That's going to be their lowest road total of the entire season. So we got to expect better things to come from A.J. Brown. And he's actually seeing the same amount of volume he saw last season. So if he's healthy, we should expect the volume. We should expect the production to come. So yeah, start A.J. Brown. All right, Hertz or Herbert? Every single week we get this question. Seriously, we just lock in this question every week. Hertz, Jalen Hurts, or Justin Herbert. It feels like every Justin Herbert team also has Jalen Hurts. I would be playing Jalen Hurts over Justin Herbert, though, this week, 1,000%. The Buccaneers are allowing the second most fantasy points per game to quarterbacks this season. Every quarterback that's gone up against them has had either their best game of the season or their second best game of the season. Everything funnels to the pass for the Bucs. Their offense is elite, which means you got to be throwing the ball just to keep up with them. But then they're also just so much better at stopping the run than stopping the pass. It makes no sense to try to run against the Bucs. And we've seen this every single team that's played them has just abandoned the run completely. So it's going to be a tough night to trust Miles Sanders. The Miles Sanders game is going to come, by the way. Miles Sanders is too good not to have a few blow-up games this season. Like, he has 60. He could take any run to the house at any given moment. We haven't seen it yet this season. But probably not going to be tonight for Miles Sanders. Honestly, it won't be surprising if Kenny Gainwell outscores Miles Sanders tonight, because this could be a really pass-heavy game script for the Eagles. All right, Antonio Brown or T. Higgins gave 5 stars. Yeah, Juan, I would definitely go Antonio Brown. And thank you for the 5-star review in the iOS App Store for the WalterPicks app, guys. If you are not going to subscribe to one of the premium subscriptions in the WalterPicks app, which is going to help you dominate start-sit decisions, dominate your trades, dominate DraftKings and FanDuel and player props, check it out in the iOS App Store. That's the number one way you can support me. But if you're not going to do that, I understand. But the next best way you can help me is a 5-star review in the iOS App Store. So I really do appreciate that. I do. If you're not following us yet on YouTube, on TikTok, make sure you hit that follow button as well. But we get this question every week, so we got to address this one earlier this week. Justin Herbert or Jalen Hurts. And I have my top 10 QBs in the YouTube Live scrolling at the bottom. You can't see it on TikTok. TikTok does not have that feature. So come to the YouTube Live. Link is in the TikTok bio. But yeah, I have Jalen Hurts pretty comfortably ahead of Justin Herbert this week. And I think you have to be playing Jalen Hurts in this game. There's no rational reason to not be playing Jalen Hurts in this game. Every single quarterback that's played against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, including Jacoby Brissett, including Mac Jones, and including Matt Ryan, have thrown for at least 275 yards and 2 touchdowns. Every single quarterback's thrown for at least 2 touchdowns. Every single quarterback's thrown for at least 275 yards. And 4 out of the 5 quarterbacks had their best game of the season against this defense. We saw Dak Prescott throw for 400 yards against them in the first game of the season. And they're even more injured now than they were then. So I think Ertz is an option this week. I think he's a top 10 tight end option. I think he's number 10. But I won't be surprised if Ertz disappoints. Just like I won't be surprised if 95% of the tight ends in the NFL disappoint any given week. That's what the tight end position is. It's just a complete wasteland for tight ends. The running back position this week is really looking thin. My top 10 running backs are going to be shown on the YouTube Live at the bottom of the screen. But the running back position's getting tough. And I do think that, I'll answer this question in a second, Carter. I do think that Naji Harris, he's my number. If I made these rankings assuming Christian McCaffrey wasn't going to play, if McCaffrey plays, then he's definitely the number 1 overall running back. If he doesn't, Chuba Hubbard probably in the top 10. But we're still waiting on that info. So I left them both out just for the sake of that. But Naji Harris ranks as in every algorithm we're running for this week. Naji Harris is scoring the best among all running backs. Naji Harris actually has a higher trade value than almost every other running back in our trade analyzer too. The volume has just been insane for Naji Harris, and he's in another game this week where he wasn't in very many of these games in the beginning of the season that the Steelers should have a really good chance to lead in this game. And Naji Harris, when the Steelers have the lead, they are one of the most run-heavy teams in the NFL. And that didn't seem obvious at the beginning of the season because they were trailing so often. But Naji Harris, through the first 5 weeks of the season, he's 5th in fantasy points per game. He has the highest snap rate in the league. He's 2nd in weighted opportunities per game. He has the 3rd most receiving yards, but he's also seeing tons of volume on the ground. He's top 10 in targets and carries. He actually has the most targets among all running backs because of that one massive week he had where he had 14 catches and 142 total yards. He's now gone over 100 yards twice. And he scored in 3 out of his 5 games. Naji Harris, guys, was a good 2nd-round pick this year, and he's going to be a 1st-round pick next season. Who I got covering the spread? Carter, I'm taking the Eagles plus 6.5. I just think it's too many points at home against a really bad defense for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Eagles' offense has looked pretty good. I think they do match up really well offensively. I expect as long as the Eagles abandon the run early in this game, which for whatever reason they've just abandoned Miles Sanders in every game previously, so I don't see why they wouldn't do it in this game against the Buccaneers. I think they can put up points. I think this could be an extremely high-scoring game. So I'm going to take the points in this one, plus 6.5. Lamar or Hertz? Yeah, this is one of these guys that you're just not allowed to bench in fantasy football is Lamar Jackson. And we saw exactly why this past week, man. Lamar Jackson, I don't know how you could say Lamar Jackson isn't the MVP of the NFL right now. He's actually not even close to the top of the odds for some reason. Let me pull these up if I can pull these up quickly. The odds for MVP really, they do not make much sense to me right now. See if I can find this. NFL regular season, maybe. NFL player futures has got to be it. MVP. Listen to these MVP odds for the NFL right now. Number 1 is Josh Allen at plus 400. And then Lamar Jackson and Tom Brady are tied with Kyler Murray for the best odds at MVP. Lamar Jackson, what he has done this season, he's gonna break the rushing record again. Jacoby or Claypool? I would probably lean towards Chase Claypool. I like Jacoby Myers a lot this week too. Listen, against the Dallas Cowboys, I'm nervous for the Patriots this week against the Dallas Cowboys. Jacoby Myers is going to have a big role in that game. I think Chase Claypool's ceiling so high, though, without Juju. Chase Claypool, guys, he's a solid wide receiver, too, with wide receiver 1 upside now. I think both are good options, Cole. Personally, though, I do really like Chase Claypool this week. Brady or Jalen Hurts, Sam? Yeah, this one's tough. This one's really tough. I think I would still probably lean towards Tom Brady. But if it's a 6-point passing touchdown league, I think I would lean towards Tom Brady. If it's a 4-point passing touchdown league, I think you got to give the nod to Jalen Hurts. I have them ranked one spot difference this week. Tom Brady's my number 5 overall quarterback. Jalen Hurts is my number 6. So I would lean Tom Brady. But if your league settings skew a little bit more towards rushing touchdowns, then I think I would go Jalen Hurts. All right, I'm seeing a lot of questions about A.J. Brown. Again, I think he's a must start this week. I know he's behind me in the TikTok stream right now. But yeah, you got to start. You got to start A.J. Brown. I think he's going to bounce back as soon as this week. And if it's not this week, it's going to be very, very soon. Brady or Jalen Hurts I would lean towards Brady, but I like both a lot. I think they're both going to be top 10 quarterbacks this week. Josh Allen, though, another guy that you're just not allowed to bench. You're not allowed to bench him. Blue Lightning, great content. Thanks, man. Pick 2, Smith, Sutton, Pittman, and who's the 4th here? Just subscribed. Oh, thanks, man. Definitely Devonta Smith. You have to start Devonta Smith this week, guys. The Buccaneers, they're allowing the 2nd most fantasy points per game to wide receivers. The only team that's been worse is the Tennessee Titans. And honestly, I would prefer my receivers to go up against the Buccaneers than the Titans right now. The Buccaneers, you just know there's going to be so much passing volume in this game. You can lock in at least 35 passing attempts for Jalen Hurts tonight because the whole defense funnels to the pass. So you got to start Devonta Smith. I'd probably go Cortland Sutton, number 2. I think Sutton sets up really well this week, too. And Michael Pittman's good. He's looked good. I mean, he absolutely mossed the Ravens secondary last week. That was a really, really impressive touchdown from him last week. But without that touchdown, he probably scored under 7 fantasy points in that game. So I would probably bench him in that situation. Gainwell or Harris? If you're talking about Damian Harris, it's Gainwell. It's Gainwell. Damian Harris, he practiced today, but it seems like he's very questionable for the game. And even if Damian Harris plays, guys, there's a chance that even if Damian Harris is active and healthy to play in the game this week against the Cowboys, that Ramondre Stevenson actually plays more than him, like 100%. That is definitely doable. All right. Sam, dude, am I starting Devonta Smith over Jefferson? Please help. Brian, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. And you want to start Devonta Smith, but you can't be starting him over Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson is too good to be benched. So you got to find a better spot for Devonta Smith in your lineup. All right. Hertz or Herbert? We get this question. This has to be the most asked question this season. Every team with Jalen Hurts also has Justin Herbert. I don't know what happened with fantasy drafts this year, but I swear, it's like almost half the teams with Justin Herbert also have Jalen Hurts. It's got to be Jalen Hurts this week, guys. You got to start Jalen Hurts over Justin Herbert. Jalen Hurts is in top 6 play. Really, the only quarterbacks that I'm starting over Jalen Hurts are the usual top 4 of Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray. Go in any order you want. Honestly, you can debate that literally until the end of time. But all 4 of them are the top 4 every single week. Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Kyler, they're all matchup proof. They all could be the number 1 overall quarterback this season. They all could be the number 1 overall quarterback this week. Start all of those guys over Tom Brady and over Jalen Hurts. And then the only other guy that I would strongly consider starting over Jalen Hurts this week is Tom Brady himself. Because Tom Brady is on the perfect offense for Tom Brady. Man, he's surrounded by incredible talent. He has the 2nd most fantasy points per game among quarterbacks this season. He is leading the NFL in passing yards. He's leading the NFL in air yards. And unsurprisingly, through the first 5 weeks, exactly as we predicted, because it's been the case for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers each of the last 2 seasons, Tom Brady, yet again, leads the NFL in deep attempts per game. And this is why he has such a good ceiling in fantasy football. He's on a super pass-heavy team that is very much willing to force the ball downfield, and they have the receivers to do it. So, yeah, I like all the receivers tonight for the Bucs. You got to love Tom Brady. I mean, they're going to score. This team is going to score. And even if they get a lead, they're going to continue to push the ball downfield. And there's just not that many offenses in the NFL that are like that. All right. I also do see a lot of TJ Hawkinson questions in the chat. Let me talk about TJ Hawkinson for a second. TJ Hawkinson has really struggled since week 1. I mean, he really has let you down. If you've been starting him week in and week out, and he's the type of player that you just need to start every week. And you got to continue to start TJ Hawkinson. Because while the production is down, the volume actually hasn't dropped off that much. He is dealing with an injury. I think a lot of his drop-off in production can be because of the injury. But he only had 22 yards last week, under 5 points. He's gone under 10 points in 3 straight weeks. He started the season with 45 points in his first 2 games, and he's under 15 points in his last 3 games combined. So don't panic about TJ Hawkinson. He's going to get healthier over time. Seems like he escaped the last game with no setbacks. I would not be panicking about TJ Hawkinson, and this definitely is not the time to trade low on TJ Hawkinson. TJ Hawkinson could easily still be a top 3 tight end in fantasy football. Antonio Brown or Robert Woods? Yeah, it's Antonio Brown for me. I like Robert Woods a lot too. I think Robert Woods is back. I mean, we saw it last week, but I would still go Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown's ceiling is just way higher. Do I sell high on DeAndre Hopkins? No, probably not. You probably don't. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is not a guy that I'm trying to move away from my fantasy teams if I have him. Gibson or Devonte Smith? Yeah, the game room. Thanks for tuning in on the YouTube live. Guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're watching live on YouTube. And if you're watching live on TikTok, hit that follow button. Fantasy football advice all season long. We're putting out multiple TikToks every single day. But you got to start Devonte Smith tonight, guys. You have to start Devonte Smith. You have to start Devonte Smith. You got to find a spot for him in your lineup. There's very few questions that I'm going to be answering that I tell you to bench Devonte Smith. And this is another one. Definitely I'd be playing Devonte Smith over Antonio Gibson this week. Hey, Sam, love the app. Thanks, man. Yeah, if you haven't checked out the WalterPicks app yet in the iOS App Store, I don't know what you're waiting for. You got to go check it out. Should I trade Josh Jacobs for Deontay Johnson / Lamar Chase? Yes, 100% do that immediately. And I hope that the WalterPicks app trade analyzer would agree with me on that one. But I would take Jamar Chase in a heartbeat over Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs, guys, in the whole Raiders team, I'm pretty nervous about. But Josh Jacobs specifically from the very start of the season, he's just a touchdown. He's a touchdown-dependent running back too. Like, he's not that valuable. He's going to be pretty inconsistent. He needs touchdowns, and he's going to score touchdowns. But it's going to be pretty unpredictable when. Thoughts on Amari Cooper? Yeah, I think Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb are both guys that I'm holding on to, and I'm feeling pretty good about them moving forward. Dak Prescott's looks so good. That's what matters the most for Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. They're both going to have wide receiver 1 weeks, plenty more this season. Do I trade CeeDee Lamb for Jamar Chase? No, I definitely would still prefer CeeDee Lamb over Jamar Chase rest of season. Jamar Chase is good, guys. He's good. But the volume, he's seeing less volume than CeeDee Lamb. So I would definitely stick with CeeDee Lamb over Jamar Chase. Also, I feel like the 1-for-1 trades like this, where you're trading for the same position, they just don't make that much sense. Like, how could you both convince yourself that this is a better trade for both? This is a good trade for both sides. I like doing trades where both sides can at least feel good about the trade because you're helping out a team at a position they need, and they're helping you out at a position you need. Those are the trades that I make most sense. Or trades where you're trading 2 players for 1. You're giving up depth for, improved starter. Yo, Sam, love the app. Thanks, man. Thoughts on Ridley? Yeah, Calvin Ridley is to me, the most obvious buy low candidate in fantasy football right now. Even more than Stephon Diggs, even more than A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown, I think, is honestly right up there with Calvin Ridley as the most obvious buy low candidates. There's so many good wide receivers to buy low on, and Calvin Ridley's one of them, man. Calvin Ridley's going to be just fine. The volume's been there for Ridley. He's top 10 in air yards per game. He's top 10 in targets per game, maybe top 15, but he's outside the top 25 in fantasy points per game. Like, something's got to give there, and it's going to be touchdowns that come for Calvin Ridley. He's going to have multiple 100-yard games this season. And Matt Ryan has actually looked better than expected, too. That was the big concern for me about Calvin Ridley this season. And really, Matt Ryan coming off one of his best passing days of the season, you got to be a little less concerned about him, even though it was the Jets. And for whatever reason, the Jets just had the Jets had the worst approach to Kyle Pitts that any defense has had this season. That's all he needed to get going. But yeah, I'm not too worried about Calvin Ridley. I would be buying low for sure. Jamar Chase or Nick Chubb? I'm assuming that you mean Nick Chubb here and not Chuba Hubbard. This one's close, man. I don't like benching Nick Chubb, but you're not going to like benching Jamar Chase either. Both are really good options. Honestly, both are probably top 30 options in fantasy football this week. But I'd probably go Nick Chubb, honestly. I don't want to be benching Nick Chubb. Love the app. Gaskin or Sanders? Yeah, you cannot play Miles Sanders. I mean, you can't. You cannot get Miles Sanders into your lineup. You can't. I mean, you can't do it against this defense. No running back has done well against this defense. None. The over-under rushing yards tonight, the over-under for rushing yards for Miles Sanders tonight, I think it was 32.5 or something. Something extremely low, 32.5. And honestly, the more you think about that line, the more you can start to convince yourself that he could easily hit that under. Miles Sanders under 32.5 rushing yards is well within the realm of possibilities tonight against a Buccaneers defense that is very good against the run and very, very bad against the pass. And if the Buccaneers start with the ball, there's a very good chance that the Eagles get the ball down 7-0. And there you go. See you, Miles Sanders. You might get 5 or less carries in this game. Smith or Chase? This week, I'm playing Devonte Smith over Ja'Marr Chase. Devonte Smith just has a way better matchup. Again, the wide receivers that have played against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have almost all done well. And Devonte Smith, he could be in for his best game of the season. He had a big game in week 4 against the Chiefs. 122 yards in that game, no touchdowns, 7 catches. I think we could see something similar from him tonight. So I think this is going to be a big Devonte Smith game. I would play Devonte Smith over Ja'Marr Chase. Last week, the Miami Dolphins receivers really didn't do that well against the Buccaneers, but it was a really dumbed down offense for the Miami Dolphins. And Jacoby Brissett didn't push the ball down the field at all. He was throwing to Preston Williams and Jalen Waddle, and really it was a huge Myles Gaskin game. The week before that, the Patriots also didn't push the ball down the field very much. Jacoby Myers finished with 70 yards. But in the games where they played teams that pushed the ball down the field, we saw the Rams, Cooper Kupp and Deshaun Jackson, both over 19 fantasy points. The Falcons, Calvin Ridley had his best game of the season against the Buccaneers. And we already saw, of course, against the Cowboys week 1, every receiver on that team did well in week 1. So yeah, I like Devonta Smith a lot tonight. Love the app. Amari Cooper or A.J. Brown rest of the season. Caleb, man, you got to make me go here. I would go A.J. Brown over Amari Cooper rest of season. And that's probably a bold take at this point. But I still think that the ceiling is probably higher for A.J. Brown, though Amari Cooper for sure is going to be more consistent and is the safer bet right now. But if you're going to make me decide, I'm not going to be betting against A.J. Brown. I'm not betting against A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown had one of the best seasons that we've seen from a young player in this league last year. The volume is there. The production is going to come. Khalil Herbert or Chase Edmonds this week? Yeah, I mean, Khalil Herbert is the free play running back this week. It looks like he's going to be in a workhorse role. I think the Packers are going to win the game, and I'm a little nervous that the game could get out of hand early for the Bears in this game. I'm definitely liking the Packers a lot more than the Bears. But there's no one else in the backfield. David Montgomery's on IR. Damian Williams on the COVID list now, so he's not going to play. So Khalil Herbert, who saw, 16 carries last week? He really split work down the middle with Damian Harris, something that really has not been talked about enough after that game. So he could see probably floor 15 carries, especially if the game stays close. But even if the game doesn't stay close, he's going to see targets as well. Khalil Herbert could be in for an 80% snap share tonight, or this week. Thursday night question. All right, let me get to some of these Thursday night questions. We're going to go rapid fire in the questions in the comment section on YouTube and on TikTok. Guys, hit the like and subscribe button. I do have a free prop pick coming up for all of us in just like 10 minutes. Devonte Smith or Antonio Brown? It's Devonte Smith tonight for me. You got to go Devonte Smith over Antonio Brown. If I were to rank all the receivers tonight, I would probably put Mike Evans first, Devonte Smith second, Antonio Brown third, Chris Godwin fourth. But I mean, really, you're rolling the dice with who's gonna be the big player for the Buccaneers at passing attack in any given night. Honestly, won't be surprised if we see O.J. Howard or Cameron Brate have a big night too. Tom Brady spreads the ball around, but I would rank the receivers in that order. Ertz or Gesicki? Yeah, I'd go Ertz over Gesicki this week. Evans or Jacoby? I would go Mike Evans, definitely. Darrell Williams, yeah, he's in decent play this week. I do think Jerick McKinnon is going to steal some of the targets from Darrell Williams. It also seems like over time it's become more and more clear the Chiefs' backfield is just not as valuable as it should be. They throw to the running backs really not that often. And they really get creative around the goal line too. And a lot of times that leads to the running backs not scoring the touchdowns for the Chiefs. So I think Darrell Williams is more like a running back 2/3 this week. Antonio Brown or A.J. Brown? Yeah, it's A.J. Brown. Do not bench A.J. Brown this week. Stafford or Hertz? It's Hertz. This week it's Hertz. I like Stafford a lot this week too. I think Stafford's a super safe bet this week against the Giants. I mean, the Rams are going to destroy the Giants this week. But you still have to play Jalen Hurts. The Buccaneers defense is just too good to pass up. Love the app. Devonte Smith or AJ Brown. Man, Greg, two guys that I'm telling everyone not to bench this week. Devonte Smith and AJ Brown. I think I would go Devonte Smith over AJ Brown. I think I'm more confident in Devonte Smith than AJ Brown this week. What do you mean matchup proof? Lamar's dropped less than 20 points 3 out of 5 weeks. Yeah, but the thing about Lamar Jackson is the rushing floor for Lamar Jackson is high in every single matchup. So by match, that's what I mean by matchup proof. Like the floor almost doesn't change for Lamar Jackson. He's got under 20 points. You said 3 out of the 4 weeks. The numbers I'm looking at, and I think that's a pretty bad arbitrary cutoff. You got to be careful with these arbitrary cutoffs. He has at least 18 fantasy points in every single game this season, in the scoring settings that I'm looking at least. And the 2 games that were big for Lamar, he went over 34 points in both of them. He scored over 40 points last week. He's matchup proof, man. Don't bench Lamar Jackson. You're not allowed to bench Lamar Jackson. His floor every single week is 15 points. Like Lamar had a bad game. He scores 15 fantasy points. And it's because of the rushing. I mean, he's the best rushing quarterback of all time. Thursday night, let's get it, guys. We got a great game coming on very soon. I think the Eagles are going to cover the spread plus 6.5. I think it's going to be a good game. I expect the Buccaneers to win. But I expect a big Jalen Hertz and Devonta Smith game. Hey, Sam, I'm in a pickle yet again. Start 3, Mike Evans, Dalvin Cook, Devonta Smith, Jamar Chase. Yeah, I would start both Mike Evans and Devonta Smith tonight. And then you got to wait for the more Dalvin Cook news, but it looks like Dalvin Cook is going to be back into his full workload this week. So I'd probably go Dalvin Cook third there. And Joe Burrow versus Dak Prescott. I'm not that worried about Dak against the Patriots. I would honestly probably go Dak Prescott over Joe Burrow. That one's close, though. All right. Should DK drafters be worried with Russ out? Yeah, you should. I think DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, you should be concerned about both of them. Geno Smith looked good when he came into the game, but are we really that confident that Geno Smith is going to be able to keep both DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett fantasy football relevant? Because I'm definitely not that confident about it. I think they both take a pretty big hit. I think DK Metcalf, honestly, is the safer option moving forward. And they both still have a really high ceiling. And Geno Smith did look good. So there's at least some potential Geno Smith can make both of them serviceable in fantasy football. But yeah, you got to be concerned. Isaiah Sam is the GOAT. Thanks for tuning in, man. Yo, pick 2, Lockett, Swift, Gibson. Yeah, I'm off of Gibson a little bit this week. I'm nervous about Antonio Gibson. Honestly, I think Antonio Gibson's a decent sell candidate. He feels more touchdown dependent than we wanted him to be this season. I mean, the targets just aren't there for Antonio Gibson. J.D. McKissick stealing so much valuable work from Antonio Gibson. Antonio Gibson still has been solid. I mean, he's 15th in fantasy points per game. He's averaging 15 fantasy points per game. He's been over 15 fantasy points each of the last 3 weeks. But he hasn't eclipsed a 60% snap share in any of those games, and he has 2 targets in all of those games. 2 targets is not enough for me to feel great about Antonio Gibson. Thursday night, Keenan Allen or Devonta Smith. Gave a 5-star and subscribe, Brody. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, this is one that I think is really close. I think Devonta Smith has a significantly higher ceiling than Keenan Allen, though. So I'm still going to go with Devonta Smith, but Keenan Allen's absolutely safer. I mean, Keenan Allen's locked in wide receiver 2. Devonta Smith could be a wide receiver 3 this week. I think, though, he's going to finish as a top 10 wide receiver. Should I start AB, Pittman, or A-Rob? I would go Antonio Brown. You got to get Antonio Brown into what he did to Xavier Howard, a top 5 corner in the NFL last week, should not be overlooked. He's not even playing that many snaps, but when he's out there, Antonio Brown is the go-to guy for Tom Brady. CeeDee Lamb and Javonte or D-Hop? I'd probably keep CeeDee Lamb and Javonte. Honestly, I think Javonte Williams has a really good chance to be a league-winning running back for fantasy football this season. His role is only going to increase as the season goes on. It's only going to increase. Guys, we're live on TikTok and YouTube. If you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel yet, we're trying to hit 5,000 YouTube subscribers this week. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button if you're watching live on YouTube. We are about to give away the free prop pick of the night. On top of that, guys, if you haven't tried out the WalterPicks app yet, you got to try it out. It can help you dominate your start-sit decisions, boom and bust probabilities for every single player in the iOS App Store. WalterPicks. Dominate your trades, dominate on DraftKings and FanDuel, dominate your player props. We actually do have a player prop tonight. I'm seeing someone liking the Fournette over yards tonight. I don't hate that at all. I mean, Fournette's really been a workhorse running back. We talked about it earlier in the stream, but Leonard Fournette is the clear starting running back for the Bucs. They're 6.5-point favorites in this game. But the real boost Fournette has got is the target volume. They're throwing to him a lot. He's averaging over 5 targets a game. He's top 10 in receiving yards per game this season at the running back position. And on top of that, he's seeing like 12 carries a game. So, yeah, I mean, the volume's there for Leonard Fournette. Do I start Bucs defense? No, I would not start the Bucs defense. The Bucs defense is not startable this week. There's really, the defenses this week are tough to decide because you're really playing like a bad defenses against bad offenses or good defenses against good offenses. It's a tough week for defenses with all the buys. But I still wouldn't be playing the Bucs. I actually think the Miami Dolphins are probably better than the Bucs, and I think very lowly of the Miami Dolphins defense. But their matchup is just there for them. Khalil Herbert thoughts. Yeah, he's a solid running back too this week. Solid running back too. With no Damian Williams, with no David Montgomery, I mean, he's just locked into at least 15 touches, and you could easily go over 20 touches, and that makes you a running back too with running back one upside. Luke says, "Hey Sam, love the app. Gave it a 5-star review. Thanks so much, Luke. That's the perfect way to lead off your question. It makes me much more likely to answer the question. You tell me you already gave us a 5-star review in the iOS App Store. Luke, thank you so much. Seriously, it takes you like 15 seconds. Helps me out. Helps all of us out at WalterPicks so much, more than you probably realize. Pick 3: Smith, Godwin, AJ Brown, Chase, full PPR, 5.100-yard bonus. Yeah, man, you got some very good options here. And because you have good options, I think you don't need to play AJ Brown. In most situations, I think most people need to play AJ Brown this week. I don't think you do. You have 3 good options. Just play your 3 good options. Let's wait till we see AJ Brown blow up because he's going to blow up. I wouldn't sell AJ Brown. But all 3 of those guys could easily go over 100 yards. So I think all 4 of them honestly could. That's a big bonus for 100 yards, by the way. Pick 3: Evans, Cooper, AJ, and Terry. 5-star review in the app. Thank you, Lino. I would probably go another situation where I'd probably just bench AJ Brown because you can. Mike Evans, Cooper, and Terry McLaurin. McLaurin, not McLaren. I'm working on it, guys. McLaurin. Terry McLaurin is, just an auto start this week as well. I think I have him in my top 10 wide receivers. The Chiefs secondary has been so bad. Honestly, you do not want to be playing against Taylor Heineke this week in fantasy. If you're playing against him as a streamer, you should be pretty nervous. The Chiefs have allowed 4 consecutive top 5 quarterback finishes against them in fantasy. And Taylor Heineke is also a sneaky rushing floor, too. And I think McLaurin's going to have a big day. Picks for tonight. Yeah, Ryan, let's talk about the free prop pick tonight. And honestly, it feels like a sketchy one. But I like it a lot. Because when you dive into the numbers, it feels like this line is just too low. All right, so the free prop pick tonight is O.J. Howard, over 10.5 receiving yards, which you can find on Prize Picks. 10.5. O.J. Howard quietly has been the starting tight end for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers since Gronk has been out. He's played over 2/3 of the snaps for the Bucs back-to-back weeks. Cameron Brate's snap total was under 50% last week. O.J. Howard played 2/3 of the snaps. That being said, he's not running that many routes. O.J. Howard really is not running that many routes. He's run 12 routes in each of his last 2 games. 12. That's not a lot. But he has gone over 10.5 yards in every single game that he has a catch, which is 3 games this season. He saw 3 targets last week. And the Eagles are not good against tight ends. I think they've allowed 7 different tight ends to go over 15 yards this season. O.J. Howard only needs 1 catch to get this done. He could easily get more than 1 catch. I would be pretty surprised if he doesn't have at least 1 catch. Walter has him projected for, I think, 17 receiving yards tonight, which makes this a pretty good value. So O.J. Howard over 10.5. That is the free prop pick of the night. O.J. Howard coming back from an injury. He's only getting healthier every single week. Jalen Hertz and Lamar Jackson. I would still go Lamar. There's only 5 quarterbacks I'm starting over Jalen Hertz this week. Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, and Tom Brady. Those are the only quarterbacks I'm going to start over Jalen Hurts this week. Fournette or AJ? Yeah, it's got to be AJ in that situation. I like Fournette. I do, and he's a big favorite, and he's seeing consistent volume. But AJ Brown still has a significantly higher ceiling. Leonard Fournette, just because he's a running back, he has the safer floor. He's locked in for minimum 10 touches tonight for Leonard Fournette. He could see as many as 15 plus. But I do think you got to go with AJ Brown this week, man. He's just going to go off. Just sub, bro. Thank you, Damien. Yeah, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're watching live on YouTube or TikTok. All right. Let's get to this question in the YouTube chat. Godwin, AB, or Devonte Booker at flex? Oh, man. Oh, Devonte Smith. I'm assuming you're saying Devonte Smith and Booker are separate players here, not Devonte Booker, because that's a whole different person. This one's a tough decision. But again, if I'm ranking the receivers tonight, I'm putting Mike Evans number 1, Devonte Smith 2, Godwin AB 3, 4. Or AB Godwin 3-4. But honestly, all the Bucs receivers, I think you could really just roll the dice on them. But I would lean Devonte Smith out of all of these guys. I think Devonte Smith has the highest ceiling. Justin Jefferson or more. Yeah, don't bench Justin Jefferson. You're not allowed to bench Justin Jefferson. He's too good, man. He's too good. You got to play Justin Jefferson this week too. Definitely over Devonte Smith. This person saying 6-star review. That's pretty funny. Sam, if you could sell Antonio Gibson for DeAndre Hopkins and Ridley, for Hopkins, Ridley, or Devontae, would you choose? Who would you choose? Honestly, I would do this trade, I think, for all three. But I would rank Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Smith. I would rank these guys. Calvin Ridley number 1, DeAndre Hopkins number 2, Devontae Smith number 3 for fantasy football purposes. I think both those two guys, though, Ridley and Hopkins, they're in a tier above Devontae Smith for sure. Love the app. Gave it a 6-star review. Schultz or Hawkinson? Just subscribe. Thank you so much. Seriously, thank you. It's got to be Hawkinson. Schultz has been good, but you have to go Hawkinson. I know Hawkins has had under 10 points 3 straight weeks after going over 20 each of the first 2 weeks, but you have to be playing Hawkinson every week still. Thoughts on Rieger? Yeah, guys, Quez Watkins, Jalen Rieger, at least one of them is going to have a big game. The Buccaneers secondary is just not good, and they struggle with speed, and that's exactly what Jalen Rieger and Quez Watkins has. Like, if you look at how the Eagles are built, it's basically Devonte Smith, a very good route runner, very good with the ball in his hands. Then he's just surrounded by like Olympic level athletes and just super, super fast players. Quez Watkins, Jalen Rieger are going to be a problem tonight. And I bet at least one of them does well. But I mean, they're both risky plays. I think both over-unders are under 40. Just got subbed to the WalterPicks app and I love it. Thanks, man. Connor, number one way you could possibly support me and every other WalterPicks creator is by subscribing in the WalterPicks app. It's $5 a month. So thank you so much. I do appreciate it. Thoughts on Darren Waller? Yeah. I mean, Darren Waller is another buy low candidate right now. Darren Waller is still a top 3 tight end in fantasy football. He still has significantly higher upside than every other tight end with a significantly higher floor. I'm not that worried about Darren Waller. I think he's a pretty good buy low candidate right now. Marvin Jones or Kadarius Toney? It's Kadarius Toney. I don't know how you can trust Marvin Jones or Laviska Shenault right now, man. My only mission this week, really I had 2 missions this week with my 6 high-stakes fantasy leagues. I was trying to trade for Stephon Diggs, Calvin Ridley, A.J. Brown. Honestly, I was trying to trade for Rondale Moore in a lot of leagues this week too. But other than that, I want to get rid of Laviska Shenault so badly. It's so hard to trade away Laviska Shenault right now, though, because everyone values him so low. Like, it feels like he basically is one of these players now for your fantasy teams that is not good enough to start or trade, but he's also just good enough that you can't drop him. It's just brutal. Laviska Shenault is just in fantasy football purgatory, and really you can only blame Urban Meyer. I mean, you can only blame Urban Meyer. 1 target for Laviska Shenault last week, 1 target with no DJ Chark. Laviska Shenault, one catch, and in his 1 catch, he brought the Jaguars like 60 yards down the field. Like, just give the guy the ball a little bit more. 1 catch, 3 targets, 1 catch, 58 yards. 1 catch, 58 yards. He had 6 catches the week before, 99 yards. He only played 73% of the snaps. It's just brutal. I mean, Tavon Austin is getting just as much run as Laviska Shenault in the year 2021. Urban Meyer, man. It's just crazy. Am I dumb starting Ertz? No, you're not dumb starting Ertz. I mean, you're not dumb starting Ertz. There's just not good tight ends. Tight end's just a dumpster fire. Ertz is a pretty good option in that dumpster fire. I mean, he could easily score 5 or fewer points, and that's not going to be that surprising. But with no Dallas Goddard, he has a pretty good ceiling in this game that should be really high scoring. Zach Moss for Gaskin. I'm not in on Myles Gaskin long term. Like, I don't think I would be trading for Myles Gaskin. But man, I mean, the usage just turned on a dime for Myles Gaskin, just out of nowhere. Myles Gaskin barely played in week 4. I think he was on the field less of 30% of the snaps. He was losing. He played 16% of the snaps in week 4. He had 2 carries and 3 total yards. 2 carries, 0 targets, 3 yards in week 4. And then in week 5, 5 carries, 10 targets. He literally looked like Christian McCaffrey out there, the way that they were using him. In 72% snap share, by far his highest of the season. So, I mean, it was a good game script for Myles Gaskin. He's not going to see this many targets in most games. I think Zach Moss, honestly, has looked a lot better. So I would lean towards Zach Moss over Myles Gaskin. WalterPicks is amazing. Thanks, Jacob. I'm definitely starting Lamb and Hollywood Brown. How about Brandon Cooks or A.J. Brown? Yeah, definitely A.J. Brown over Brandon Cooks for me. Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hertz? Yeah, I'm playing Lamar Jackson over Jalen Hertz. I am. I think Lamar Jackson is a guy that you need to start every week. Like, you just kind of have to start Lamar Jackson every single week. The only quarterbacks this week that I'm playing over Jalen Hurts: Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Kyler Murray, Tom Brady. Those are the only 4 quarterbacks. Sorry, there's 5. I missed one. Who did I miss? Patrick Mahomes. Let me pull up my top 10 quarterbacks again for the YouTube live. Patrick Mahomes, I missed Josh Allen. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Tom Brady. Those are the 5 quarterbacks I'm playing over Jalen Hurts. End of list. Yes, I'm seeing more Jalen Hurts versus Justin Herbert questions. I swear, every team with Jalen Hurts also has Justin Herbert for some reason. But yeah, you got to play Jalen Hurts over Justin Herbert. You have to play Jalen Hurts tonight in almost every situation. I subbed and gave a 5-star review. Thanks so much, man. I do appreciate that. I need to know McCole Hardman or Jalen Reagor. Yeah, Tyreek Hill's looking very questionable for the game this week. Very questionable, which does make McCole Hardman a slightly better option. But both these guys, are just extremely similar. Just like super speedy receivers that are going to need to take one big catch to be a good fantasy player in any given week. And they could both also finish with under 3 fantasy points, and nobody would be that surprised. I honestly think McCole Hardman's a better option than Jalen Reagor this week, though. Quez Watkins plays the same role as Jalen Reagor. So it could be either of these guys. I would argue Reagor's safer, though. He's played at least 65% of the snaps every single week. He is averaging close to 7 fantasy points per game. I feel like the floor is higher for Reagor, but the ceiling is higher for Hardman. Personally, though, again, I would play McCole Hardman. Deontay Johnson for Ridley. Yes, do that. Calvin Ridley definitely more valuable than Deontay Johnson. Godwin or Antonio Brown. Yeah, all of these Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receivers, it's just tough. You're just rolling the dice, right? At least 2 of them are going to do well. So you got to feel good about all of them. But that means that at least one of them, each week is going to end up underperforming. I'm going Antonio Brown over Chris Godwin. Hey, Sam, love the app. Thanks, man. Is AB worth starting? Yeah, Jose. There's 2 sides to every single start-sit question. So it depends what the other side of the start-sit question is. But in most scenarios, yeah, you do want to be playing Antonio Brown. Eagles money line I'm seeing in the chat. I like the Eagles to cover the spread. Honestly, at home, these primetime games have all been close and exciting. So I think I would probably lean towards the Eagles too. But I think the Bucs are going to win. Love the app. Claypool or Sanders? I'm torn. Yeah, don't be torn. This one's not even close, Ty. You got to get Miles Sanders as far away from your starting lineup as you possibly can this week. Miles Sanders he already isn't getting volume. Like, he already isn't getting nearly enough volume to be an auto start in fantasy football. He's been one of the biggest busts in fantasy football so far this season. Kenny Gainwell is just much more involved than people expected. Kenny Gainwell's been good too. So there's no reason to expect him to stop being involved. Miles Sanders is good. Miles Sanders should get the ball more. But Kenny Gainwell's also good. And so why would they not keep giving Kenny Gainwell the ball as much as they have been? Miles Sanders has only gone over 10.5 points once this season. He saw under 12 carries in each of his last 3 games. And this is a game where he's probably going to go under 12 carries again. The Buccaneers, you see what they do to running backs, and like just so many teams just abandon the run early against the Buccaneers because you're either down early or you realize you just aren't able to run against them because their run defense is so far superior to their pass defense. They have a top 5 run defense and a bottom 5 pass defense. There's just not that many teams like that in the NFL. So, yeah, they're allowing very few fantasy points per game to running backs. I think they ranked 22nd in fantasy points per game to running backs. Myles Gaskin had a big game against them, but he also had 10 catches. 10 catches on 10 targets, and he scored twice. The only other player to go over 20 points was Cordero Patterson. Honestly, this feels like a bigger Kenny Gainwell opportunity than a Miles Sanders opportunity this week. Flex Henry Ruggs, Beckham, or A.J. Brown. Yeah, it's got to be A.J. Brown, man. You get A.J. Brown into your lineup in those situations. A.J. Brown's ceiling is so far higher than every other player that you just mentioned. Player prop. Yeah, the prop I'm going with tonight is O.J. Howard over 10.5 receiving yards. On Prize Picks, 10.5 yards. He's gone over 10.5 yards every single game that he has a catch. And he played 2/3 of the snaps each of the last 2 weeks with Gronk out. So I like O.J. Howard tonight. And also the Eagles have not been good against tight ends. They're like 8th worst in the league against tight ends. Been using Walter since last year. Thanks, VC. I appreciate that. AB or AJ Brown at flex. Yeah, the questions with AJ Brown, I want to start AJ Brown this week. I do. But if you have a good option, you should probably just go with a good option for AJ, like until we see AJ Brown back to full strength and really like doing AJ Brown things again. Then you should probably start Antonio Brown over him. You should probably start Devonte Smith over him. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin tonight, I would probably start over him. AB or Smith. Yeah, I'm still going Devonte Smith over AB. I would rank the receivers tonight if I had to. I would rank them at Mike Evans 1, Devonte Smith 2, Godwin, Brown 3. Thoughts on Devonte Smith over under 73.5? Yeah, Walter has Devonte Smith projected for 75 yards. So I mean, the prop's good. The prop's a good. It's a fair line. But I would take the over. I mean, if you force me to take the over or under, I'm taking the over. I don't hate that at all. I think you could easily clear 100 yards tonight. And that's exactly when players have props like in the 70s, 80s. Like I need them to have a chance to get 100 yards. Like you want this ceiling to be much higher than the prop line, and that's exactly what Devonte Smith has. I mean, Devonte Smith, he could finish the first half with more than that in this game. So yeah, I like that. I don't hate it. Devonte Smith or Zach Moss? Yeah, 100% Devonte Smith. Guys, get Devonte Smith into your lineups tonight, man. It's a big Devonte Smith week. All right, let's bring up my top 10 tight ends of the week because tight ends such a dumpster fire every single week so far this season. Somehow every season it feels like it's getting harder and harder at the tight end position. So my top 10 tight ends are on the YouTube live. We're live on TikTok and YouTube right now. TikTok, the YouTube link is in the TikTok bio. And you can see my top 10 rankings at every position. And that will answer, I think, a lot of these questions. McLaurin or Devonte Smith? Yeah, that one I'm going McLaurin. McLaurin's a top 10 wide receiver option for me this week. All right. Got a good question here in the YouTube chat. Hey, Sam, 5-star review. Thanks, man. Do I trade Dalvin and Kupp for CMC and Devonte? Yes. Actually, I don't know. This one's closer. But if you're deep at wide receiver, then yeah. I do want Christian McCaffrey over Dalvin Cook 100% of the time. Christian McCaffrey, once he comes back, is the most valuable asset in all of fantasy. So I don't hate this. But you are giving up Cooper Kupp, who's definitely better than Devonte Smith. But if you're deep at wide receiver, I don't hate it. You are getting the best player. Thursday night, CeeDee Lamb or Antonio Brown? Yeah, I'd go CeeDee Lamb over Antonio Brown. Thoughts on Gaskin? Yeah, I mean, Gaskin is a guy that you can strongly consider in PPR leagues right now. You can strongly consider him. But I don't think he's a lock. He had 2 carries in week 4. 2 carries in week 4. He had 10 targets in week 5. And Devontae Parker was out. Will Fuller's out. Like, both those guys will come back. There's going to be more games where Myles Gaskin is a complete bust. So I think if you can trade him, you can. But honestly, I feel like Myles Gaskin's more of a hold for me right now. Because in a PPR league, he is going to hold some value if he keeps this role. He had by far his highest snap rate last week. Is Mike Davis droppable? Yeah, Ward. I don't think he's droppable yet. He's not droppable. Mike Davis is still the starting running back for the Falcons. Cordero Patterson has been the much better fantasy football asset so far, but I would not be dropping Mike Davis yet. Start Rodgers or Heineke this week. Yeah, this is how good Heineke is going to be this week. And I think I would still probably go with Rodgers. Even against a good Bears defense, I'd still probably go with Rodgers. But Heineke's in the conversation, man. The Chiefs have allowed the most top 5 quarterback finishes this season. 4 consecutive quarterbacks have gone top 5 in fantasy against the Chiefs. So I think he's within the conversation, but I'd still probably go Rodgers. All right, Yarshma, let's get to this trade question. Do you think this is fair? Chase Edmonds and Zach Moss for Darrell Henderson and David Montgomery. Yeah, I definitely would like the Darrell Henderson side way more, though. It's fair. I think it's fair. I think it's weird trading like two of the same players, 2 of the same positions for 2 of the same positions. But I do like the Darrell Henderson side, and I do think it's fair. I meant Emmanuel Sanders for Claypool. Oh, that Ty. Thank you for clarifying. Yeah, there's a lot of players with overlapping names. So you got it. First and last name is a good idea. There's a lot of Sanders. All right. There's a lot of Browns too. There's tons of overlap. But yeah, I'd still go Claypool. I honestly don't think it's close. You never answered my question. Yeah, sorry, I pulled that up, Carter. Please help. Please help. Guys, I'm going to get to as many questions as I can, I promise. We are like 30 minutes from kickoff. I'm getting excited. This is going to be such a fun game, man. The Eagles, coming off a massive comeback win. If the Eagles win this game, they are turning their season around, and they're a legit playoff contender, and they actually could make a run with the Cowboys in this division. I don't think they're going to win this game, though. All right, let's get to this question. Non-PPR, Leonard Fournette, Kadarius Toney, Khalil Herbert. Man, Carter, this is a tough one. Khalil Herbert is locked in as a running back too this week. And in a non-PPR league, I think Khalil Herbert's going to end with the most touches out of all of these guys this week. So I think I would go Khalil Herbert. I probably rank these guys in a non-PPR league running backs just get such a big boost. So I'd probably go Khalil Herbert number 1, Fournette 2, Tony 3 in a non-PPR league. A lot of Fournette's value does come from the targets. He had five. He's averaging a little over 5 targets a game. Thanks for the gift in the TikTok live, Tristan. I do appreciate that. But I think that you got to go Khalil Herbert here, Carter. I wouldn't overthink it. And we already know he's going to start. So I don't think there's that much risk there. Thoughts on Michael Thomas? Every passing week, Hudson, quietly, every passing week, Michael Thomas is gaining more value in fantasy football, right? He's coming 1 week closer to the return of the slant king, and people have forgotten all about Michael Thomas. But Michael Thomas is going to be locked in as the number 1 wide receiver immediately for his team with really no competition at all. But the Saints just haven't thrown the ball that much. He could change that trend. Like, they could very well throw the ball a little bit more once they have Michael Thomas. But I actually just traded away Michael Thomas in one of my leagues and Jerry Jeudy in one of my leagues, because if you are not in like the top 5 spots, if you have a losing record right now in fantasy football, you can't hold on to these guys any longer. 2 of my high stakes leagues, by the way, you hate to hear this. You hate to see this in fantasy. This is how it goes though. 2 of my high stakes fantasy leagues. In both of these leagues, I have the second most points scored in the league, and I am in 8th place. 8th place with the second most points in the league. This is just brutal. You got to play better defense than that, man, in fantasy football. Who for Jeudy? Yeah, so I did a couple trades actually this week. Let me run through a couple of the trades I did. I traded away. Let me pull this up really quickly. I made a pretty risky move in a league that I really, really need to turn things around. And I gave away Jerry Jeudy. I did not enjoy giving away Jerry Jeudy because I thought Jerry Jeudy was a smash pick. I think I got him in the 6th or 7th round in this league. And he started off really hot, obviously got injured, and I think he's going to be really good when he comes back too. But I traded away Jerry Jeudy. I traded away DeAndre Swift. I didn't want to trade away DeAndre Swift either. Yeah, I mean, DeAndre Swift is very good. But this is a half PPR league. This is a half PPR league, not a full PPR league. So DeAndre Swift is actually not quite as valuable in half PPR league because the value for Swift is coming through the targets. And then I traded away Chase Edmonds too. But I got Aaron Jones. And I got Rondale Moore. In both Aaron Jones and Rondale Moore. Aaron Jones, best player in this trade by far. I mean, he's considerably more valuable in my eyes than DeAndre Swift. And Rondale Moore, to me, could be as good as Jerry Jeudy in fantasy football by the time Jerry Jeudy comes back. And I'm getting Rondale Moore for this week, too. I think Rondale Moore, guys, did you see the catch that Rondale Moore made? Rondale Moore is not just what we thought he was in these first few games of the season. He's not just this guy who's going to get the ball right at the line of scrimmage and make plays after the catch. This dude can make plays down the field, too. And he had his first week with more snaps than Christian Kirk last week. Rondale Moore could win fantasy leagues as the season starts to go on. And we also won't be that surprised. None of us will be that surprised when A.J. Green slows down as the season goes on. A.J. Green has been playing in the 2 wide receiver sets with DeAndre Hopkins. But when they play 3 and 4 wide receiver sets, which they lead the league in multiple wide receiver sets, Rondale Moore is on the field more and more and more, and he has looked good, man. So I think he's a great trade target right now. You're not necessarily buying low, but I do think you could be buying at close to the bottom of his value. AB or Myers? I would go AB over Myers. What's a good trade to receive for Montgomery? Yeah, I think Montgomery is not the worst guy to be trying to ship off. But if you're looking for a cheap running back right now, guys, let me get this out there because I think he's still available in like a lot of leagues. Go add Ramondre Stevenson. Ramondre Stevenson. Well, even if Damian Harris plays this week, I think Ramondre Stevenson could see more touches. Damian Harris has had 2 horrible fumbles for the Patriots. He's dealing with an injury now. And Ramondre Stevenson has been the only good running back, really, for the Patriots this season. So, yeah, I would probably go add him. He's available in like 80% of the league still. All right, PPR question here. Caden, let's get to this. I'm going to go rapid fire with the questions. I got like 3 minutes left. So we got to go rapid fire here. All right. I can't see the question on my screen, so I got to move the phone a tiny bit. We're going to end the stream on YouTube, guys. So come to the YouTube live. I like to end the live streams on YouTube because it's easier to rapid fire answer the questions there, and I can pull up the questions on the screen much easier, and I can just show a little bit more information. So for the next 5-10 minutes, we're going to wrap up the stream on the YouTube live. To TikTok people, thank you so much for tuning in. You can come join the YouTube live. Link is in the TikTok bio. I'll be back live Sunday morning. Good luck tonight. Make sure you start Devonta Smith and Mike Evans and Antonio Brown and Chris Godwin. And definitely Jalen Hertz and Tom Brady as well. This is going to be a fun one. All right. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back soon. Come to the YouTube live. Link is in the TikTok bio. All right, guys. We're live just on TikTok, just on YouTube now. Hit the like and subscribe button, guys. We're so close to 5,000 YouTube subscribers. We're trying to get to 10,000 this season, man. 10,000 this season. Now, let's answer this question, Caden. Gaskin, A-Rob, Hunter Renfrow, Devontae Parker. Yeah, this is not a question I should have prioritized because it's not about tonight's game, but I would probably lean towards Devontae Parker if he plays. I think in a PPR league, though, yeah, honestly, PPR league, I'd probably go Devontae Parker. A-Rob might not even play. He's dealing with an injury now. I don't think he practiced in full today. Mike Evans or Odell or Kadarius Toney. Yeah, 100% Jackson, Mike Evans, not close. You can't be starting Odell at this point in the season right now. Jalen Hertz or Lamar Jackson. I would lean towards Lamar. It's close, but I would lean towards Lamar. There's only 5 quarterbacks I'm playing over Jalen Hertz. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Kyler Murray, and Tom Brady. Those are the only guys. Other than that, I would be starting Jalen Hertz. Yeah, even if you have Devonte Smith, I'd still start Kyler Murray over Jalen Hurts. What's up, Sam? What is going on, J.Y. Lee? What do you think about this trade? JJ? Who's JJ? For Devonte and Jonathan Taylor. JJ. Who's JJ? Justin Jefferson, I'm assuming. For Devonte Smith and Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, I mean, it's a good trade. It's a great trade. Jonathan Taylor could be more valuable than Justin Jefferson in fantasy because he plays running back. And running backs are hard to find in fantasy football. Consistent, good, healthy running backs, not easy to find right now in fantasy football. It's much easier to find receivers. So, yeah, I would say I like the trade. Thursday night question, AB or Joe Mixon? Yeah, it's Antonio Brown. You get Joe Mixon far away from your lineups this week, too. He's also been a guy. He's not practicing in full yet. Like, when is Joe Mixon going to be fully healthy? I actually think he did not practice today, which is bad. I mean, it's a bad sign. Russell Wilson returned to practice for a limited session, man. Did you guys see Russell Wilson's TikTok? If you haven't seen Russell Wilson's most recent TikTok, you go see that, man. I swear, after his quarterback career, he's going to be a motivational speaker. Who do I bench out of Gibson, AB, Lockett, or Woods? Yeah, it's Gibson. You bench Gibson. You bench Gibson or Lockett. If you're nervous about Geno Smith, you bench Lockett. But otherwise, I think it's Gibson. I think all 3 of those guys have a super high ceiling. I'm playing Devonte Smith over Amari Cooper this week, 100%. McLaurin or Diggs. Do not bench Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs, one of the most obvious buy low candidates in fantasy right now. Get him into your lineup immediately and don't take him out for the entire season. All right. Can I trust Gainwell tonight? And would you start Devonte Smith or Mike Williams? Yeah, tough one. Because Mike Williams, I mean, just on a tear. Mike Williams, top 10 fantasy football wide receiver to start the season. Man, he was such a good best ball pick. Such a good pick in really all formats. Nobody considered the chance that Mike Williams could be the number 1 receiver for the Chargers this season, and that's exactly what's happening. And he's an okay matchup against the Ravens because it's probably going to be a high-scoring game. 23.2 fantasy points per game. That ranks second. He's the second most fantasy points among receivers. So I think you kind of have to go Mike Williams, even though I like Devonte Smith a lot this week. And trust Kenny Gainwell. I don't trust him. I do think the ceiling is there, though, for Gainwell. Like tonight, this is a game that sets up well for the pass for the Eagles. So I do think Gainwell has sneaky flex appeal. But trust is not the word I would use. I mean, he's not the starting running back on his own team. Claypool or Thielen PPR? It's Claypool. Is Aaron Jones hurt? Yeah, he's probable, I think. I think he's fine. I think he played through the same thing last week, too. So I think he's okay. Hey, Sam, CD or Smith? It's CD Lamb for me. I would play Devonte Smith over Amari Cooper, but I don't think I would play him over CD Lamb. I like CD Lamb a little bit more than Amari Cooper. But, I mean, Devonte Smith, does have the matchup, man. And this is going to be a game that I think you're going to look back and wish you played Devonte Smith. His over-under is by far the highest over-under he's had this whole season. 73.5 yards is the over-under. Brendan, thanks, man. Thanks for being here. Seriously, time is the most valuable thing we have, so I appreciate you tuning in. Brendan, here we go. Start a running back and a flex. Miles Sanders, Gainwell, Zach Moss, Khalil Herbert, Hunter Renfrow, Laviska Shenault. Yeah, honestly, Brendan, I don't hate going with Khalil Herbert out of these guys. I want to start Gainwell over Miles Sanders tonight, but I don't think that's a smart move. Honestly, I'd probably just go Zach Moss, Khalil Herbert. I would just do Zach Moss, Khalil Herbert in this situation. Those 2 guys, I think, are locked into the touches more than everyone else. Thursday night, pick 3. Devonta Smith, Keenan Allen, Evans, Tony, Thielen. Yeah, it's the first 3. It's the first 3 guys here. It's honestly not that close. It's got to be these first 3 guys. OBJ or Tony? I'd go Kadarius Toney over OBJ. I think OBJ is honestly just a must bench at this point. He did nothing in a game with 80. There was like 90 points scored in that game. Some of the games last week, just insane. I mean, it's just a great week of football. But the Browns-Chargers game was definitely the best game of the week, or the Ravens-Colts game Monday night. But yeah, I think you gotta bench Odell Beckham Jr. You have to bench Odell. All right, we're gonna go rapid fire. 3 more questions. Higbee or Ertz? Oh God, I think I would still go Higbee. It's close though, man. It's close. The tight end, you're just flipping a coin. Honestly, flip a coin. It's the tight end. Like, which one's gonna score a touchdown? If they don't score a touchdown, they're not going to be top 10 tight ends. If they do, they're going to be top 10 tight ends. This is how bad tight ends are. Personally, though, I'd go Higbee still. Gaskin or Myers? I'd go Myers over Gaskin all day long. Miles Sanders or Tim Patrick? Taylor, man, you took Miles Sanders in the top 5 rounds of your draft, but I don't think it matters that as much anymore. I think you got to go Tim Patrick. I think you have to go Tim Patrick. Miles Sanders is just such a low floor tonight. And this does, honestly, it does feel like the type of game. Miles Sanders over under rushing yards is 32.5. Like, he's probably going to have like a 40-yard carry at some point. But even if he does, he could still finish with like 5 points. I mean, the receiving ceiling, not there for Miles Sanders. Touchdown ceiling is not there tonight for Miles Sanders. And there's no rushing floor either. Like, you can't start Miles Sanders. I'd go Tim Patrick. All right, start 3. There's another question. Brady or Lamar? It's Lamar, man. I'm dropping Dalvin Cook for Geno Smith. Yeah, I would not advise. I would not be advised. But it's your fantasy team, man. You do what you want. Top 5 defense. Top 5 defense this week. The defenses this week are very difficult, man. It's very difficult. All the good defenses are playing good teams, and all the bad defenses are playing. Sorry, all the bad defenses are playing bad teams. Did I say this right? Yeah, bad defenses playing bad teams, good defenses playing good teams. It's a tough week for defenses. Claypool or Mixon? Claypool. Mixon's a must bench right now for me until we get better news about his injury. Definitely a must bench. Do you think Gibson will get more receiving reps as the season goes on? No, Isaiah. I don't see any reason why he would. He's dealing with a shin injury. Feels like they're pretty happy with his current role. He's playing this touchdown-dependent role. He only has 2 targets in each of the last 3 games. I don't think that's going to change that much. J.D. McKissic has been good in his role. And so that does lower the ceiling significantly for Antonio Gibson. It lowers the floor too. So yeah, I'm nervous about Antonio Gibson. I actually think Antonio Gibson's a pretty good trade candidate right now. I'm trying to trade him in one of my leagues. We drafted Antonio Gibson hoping he had Christian McCaffrey level upside, but the volume in the passing game is just not there. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Good luck tonight. I would not be playing Antonio Brown over Cooper Kupp. I would be playing Antonio Brown over Jacoby Myers. Again, really quickly, I think you have to start. Let me run through this really quickly one more time. You got to start. These are the guys you should feel really good about starting all of these guys tonight. Jalen Hertz, Devonte Smith, Tom Brady, Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. I would rank the receivers tonight in this order. Mike Evans first, Devonte Smith second, Antonio Brown third, Chris Godwin fourth. But all of them should do well. And I won't be surprised when any of them finishes as the number 1 overall receiver in this game. There's going to be a top 10 receiver out of this game this week. At least one. And there could be multiple. So lock in Jalen Hurts, Devonte Smith tonight, man. It's going to be a big Devonte Smith game. I like him a lot. Again, the free prop pick tonight was O.J. Howard over 10.5 receiving yards. Lock that in as well. Guys, have a fantastic night. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't yet. And we will be back live, as always, Sunday morning. Have a good one, guys, and good luck.